Good morning, good evening, good everything in between. Welcome to the podcast, episode 18. I am your host, Jim Obernicki, and I'm joined as always by Mr. Gabe Lerman. How you doing, Gabe?
Wishing my cat would stop biting my fingers.
As I started speaking, and he's like, I don't like that.
No, it's a thing he does.
Okay.
This is a rescue cat. We've had him for 2 months, and when he shows his affection through biting, so it's nice that we're affectionate. It's nice that he likes us. I just wish he had other means of expressing that.
Okay. And also we are joined as always by Mr. Michael Bailey. How you doing, Mike?
Hoping I'm not witnessing another September collapse by Lotte, but I'll get onto that later.
It's coming. Does your parrot bite? Don't parrots bite? That's their thing, isn't it?
My African Gray does not because I'm his favorite. My Senegal does because she hates all men, and my cockatoo kind of does just because she's crazy.
You've got more than one parrot?
3 birds, 3 dogs, and a guinea pig.
Holy crap. I've got no pets. I'm actually a bit of a zoophobe. Actually, I'm not a big animal guy, honestly.
Well, Jimbo, it was nice knowing you. You can leave at any time.
Well, no, I just won't come over to your house. Simple as that. Anyway, so that brings us around to week 18 of the podcast. We're having a fantastic time here. It's been a great time to watch baseball. We are getting into the postseason. Things are really heating up, and I feel like we have to mention, even though we are a Pacific League team, we have to give congratulations to the other league's new champions, the Hanshin Tigers, winning their first Central League pennant in 18 years, sixth in franchise history. They are the first team, obviously, to win the pennant between the two leagues. The Buffaloes haven't quite done it yet, though that is coming up very shortly. Only 6 people jumped into the Dotonbori River this time. That's very nice. And no KFC franchises were terrorized. So, hey, good job, Tigers fans. You didn't destroy the city.
More like, good job, Osaka police. You were well prepared.
And so also we have our August MVPs, Hiroya Miyagi on the pitching side and Kensuke Kondo on the batting side. In 5 starts, Miyagi went 3-0 with a 1.3 ERA, 31 Ks, and 34 and 2/3 innings pitched, while Kondo in 24 games batted .365 with 7 home runs and 19 RBIs. And
Kensuke Kondo is staking his claim not just to the August MVP, but possibly the whole dang leagues.
It's, oh man, I don't know that it's tricky. Yamamoto, it's been really good. Again, I usually go for position players, and Kondo's been great, but I mean, Yamamoto's just tearing it up right now. I mean, all the Buffaloes are really. And so that brings, speaking of people tearing things up, let's get over to our milestones. Gabe, what do you got this week?
I've got about 4 milestones, a few of which have to do with the number 1,000, but we'll get to that. First off, Eagles second baseman Hideto Asamura now holds the longest consecutive games played streak in Pacific League history with 1,144 straight appearances. The best part is the guy he passed to get there, current Seibu Lions manager and former player himself, Kazuo Matsui. So congratulations to Asamura, who has not missed a game since 2015 and hasn't played fewer than 95 games in any season. Of course, the all-time Ironman record is Sachio Kinugasa of the Carp at 2,215, but nobody's getting to that territory. That's like Cal Ripken rarefied air. Also, congrats to Marines starter and 2013 Japan Series MVP Manabu Mima for collecting 1,000 strikeouts in NPB. His 12-plus seasons between the Eagles and Marines led him to a 79 and 85 record and a 4.26 ERA. Banzai to Buffalo's catcher Tomoya Mori for getting career hit number 1,000 in September 10th's game against the Marines. He's the 316th player in NPB history to reach that mark. And finally, congrats to Hawks pitcher Shota Takeda for reaching 1,000 innings pitched. He is the 366th pitcher to reach the mark in NPB. And I know we don't think about him a lot lately because of all the injuries he's racked up over the last 3 seasons, but he's got quite the awards chest. 2012 Rookie of the Year, 2014 All-Star, 6 Japan Series rings, and a bronze medal each in the 2015 Premier 12 and 2017 World Baseball Classic. I think we need to include him along with Senga, Higashihama, and Wada as key components of that late 2010s Hawks dynasty.
And actually, just another little point on Mori, I would like to congratulate him on being the first batter in one of our Baseball for Breakfast who hit a home run so hard that I didn't even have to doubt the home run call. I got to go full into it as he mashed that thing into the second deck. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
right. From the baseball breakfast on Tuesday, which is why we're recording this on a Thursday instead.
Oh, yes, yeah, we should mention that we are recording a little bit later than usual. That's why you're going to hear this a little later than usual. But yeah, that was a great game. And man, when he hit that ball, I was just like, oh, that's gone. That is gone. And so that brings us over to Mike. What do you have for your headlines this week?
Got a couple of things here. First off, congratulations to Samurai Japan for winning their first ever U18 World Cup, beating host Chinese Taipei by a 2-1 score, dealing them their first ever loss. Top prospect Yugo Maeda threw a complete game, striking out 5. Other U18 alumni include Kenya Wakatsuki, Taisuke Yamaoka, and Tomoya Mori of the Buffaloes, Tomohiro Anraku, that's a fun name to say, Yuki Matsui of the Eagles, Kona Takahashi of the Lions, and Seiji Uebayashi of the Hawks, all of whom were on the 2013 silver medalist team. The 2015 team had Taiga Hirasawa, Kotaro Kiyomiya, Kakeru Narita. Bring me all the hard names to say today. On the 2017 bronze medal team, you've got Kyota Fujiwara, Kotaro Kiyomiya, Shu Masuda, and Fumimaru Taura, and Hisanori Yasuda. And I swear to God that I pronounce Japanese names better when they are written in kanji or hiragana. It's just
Yeah, I was
how
gonna
my
say
brain works.
you were having a full out me moment there. Like you were pronouncing them like me during a broadcast.
Oh, trust me, the N to the Japanese R, I can never get right. That one bugs me. Like my tongue just wants to go, no, you're not allowed to do that.
For whatever reason, my brain, if it's in Japanese, I can do it no problem. Once I see it in English or Romanji, if you want to be funny, I go, duh. But anyways,
This phoneme has performed an illegal operation and must be shut down.
Pretty much. Secondly, you remember a couple weeks ago we talked about that Roki Sasaki and Hiroya Miyagi collaboration merch that they put out?
Oh, yeah.
So now there's a new collaboration. It is Marines and Fighters with both of their cheerleading teams, M Splash and Fighters Girls. From now until I believe the end of the month, you can order select cheering goods featuring both of the cheerleaders, including some stuff featuring the cheering fish, whose name escapes me.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. I'm getting that cheering fish stuff.
Need more fish.
Need more fish. That's just a fact.
But what about the mysterious fish? Or are we not allowed to talk about him since he's not a mascot for the Marines anymore?
Bring him back.
Bring him back. That's the best mascot ever. I don't care what anyone says. I know some people who like, I have some friends who like mascots. I showed them that. They're like, oh, that's ugly. And I'm like, you're trash. You don't know anything. This is the greatest mascot in human history.
He'll return when we need him most.
The dead of the
In
night.
our darkest hour.
When the Marines are about to get knocked out of the playoffs, he will return.
He'll RKO the opposing pitcher.
And so as we imagine that and really revel in that fantasy, let's have a little ad break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hey, my name's Shane, and I swear, I'm a real consumer, just like you. So I just replaced all my expensive shorts with...
What are you doing in here? I thought I threw you out already.
I gotta go, bye.
How do they keep getting in here? That's the third advertiser I've thrown out today. When you subscribe to Pacific League TV, there's no ads. Nothing in between innings, nothing for a pitching change. You get to see all the action on the field. And of course, you also get full archives going back to 2011. All the baseball you could ever want to watch, and nobody trying to convince you to buy some clothing brand you've never heard of. 1450 yen per month. That's like $10 in today's exchange rate. And you get all that and no ads. Okay, but for real, who's letting these guys in here? Jim? Gabe? Is it any of you? Well, it's not me.
And so that brings us to the bulk of today's show, our middle segment, the Around the Horn segment, where we take a look at the league from top to bottom and examine each of the teams. And again, as usual, as I say every week, we start with the Oryx Buffaloes. Take it away, Gabe.
We're into single digits now. The Oryx Buffaloes have a magic of 7. We're going to clinch pretty darn soon. 6-4 in their last 10, 12.5 games up on the Marines after that incredible run in August, going 16-7-2. That's built up quite the head of steam for the Buffaloes, so that third straight pennant is tantalizingly close. And I know a lot of people are already talking about a Kansai Classic Japan series between the Tigers and the Buffaloes. Yes, there's still a postseason round to go before then, but remember, the pennant winner not only has home field advantage for all the games, they also get a 1-game head start in a best-of-7 series. So the floor is tilted. It's one way that NPB makes the regular season more meaningful than in MLB. We have to talk about this. I've been having this thought for like weeks now. I cannot stop smiling about Yoshinobu Yamamoto getting his second career no-hitter. 102 pitches, so almost a Maddox, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 hit by pitch. He is the 10th NPB pitcher with multiple no-hitters. And the last guy to get his second career no-hitter, this is where history rhymes a little bit, Keiichi Suzuki, who pitched for the Kintetsu Buffaloes and was so good for them, his number was retired up until the merger. More on that next week. For Yamamoto to do it on the road against the team that perfected them last season, oh, that's all the sweeter. And tip of the cap to NPB Card Guy on Twitter for doing that little extra digging on the history. This brings Yamamoto's streaks of innings without an earned run to 42. Can anyone stop him? Buffalo's lefty Hiroya Miyagi now has double-digit wins in 3 consecutive seasons, those being the first 3 seasons of his NPB career, joining Yoshinobu Yamamoto with that plaudit. So, yeah, Buffs are doing pretty solid. I'm eager to see how they can close out the season strong, which regulars are going to see a few breaks. Maybe there's still a chance that Tongu keeps going for that batting title, but more on that batting chase later.
Man, 42 innings in a row without giving up a run. Do you have any idea what the record for that is? Because that's insane. I can't imagine it's much longer than that.
If memory serves, Kaima Taida actually set that record earlier in the last season or two when he was a reliever.
Right. Yeah. Actually, no. Yeah. I do remember hearing something like that.
We nicknamed him Mr. Zero, remember?
Right. Okay. Well, damn. Okay. Well, I mean, Yamamoto must be closing in on that at this point. And speaking of teams that aren't scoring runs, that brings us over to the second place team, the Chiba Lady Marines. What's up, Mike?
They're not second place for long, most likely, if it keeps going this way. 3-7 in their last 10, and now only a single game ahead of the Hawks. If I drank, I would probably be drinking, but I don't. The Marines stranded 17 runners in their September 13th game at home against the Eagles. What else is new? Tying the team record for the most men left on base in a single game. The Eagles ended up winning that one 5-3. And congratulations to Hisanori Yasuda, who announced his marriage to the team on Monday. The team messed around and had some fun by playing the wedding march as his walk-up music the following day when he went up to bat.
Oh, that's awesome. That's excellent, actually. I love that. That's really cute. Man, 17 stranded runners, though.
I'm a Phillies fan. It
brutal.
happens.
That's
I'm a Blue Jays
insane.
fan. They're doing it right now as
happens.
we're recording.
Like it's on my TV right now.
But since I started following Lotte at what seems like forever ago at this point, I have not seen many postseason successes or a lot of postseason at all. So, I mean, I'm used to seeing just everything come crashing down at either September or August. So it's not like I'm getting too upset over it. It's more of like, well, I kind of expected this back on, what was it, March 28th, March 29th, the season opened. But hopefully they can get in there and recreate the 2005 Japan series in which they showed a certain Jungle Cat-based other Kansai team that, who owned them, basically.
33-5.
They should do that again.
They should do that again.
Well, that whole fiasco is what led to the other league instituting a playoff series like the Pacific League did, because their pennant winner went straight to the Japan series, while our pennant winner had to be battle tested through the postseason. And clearly it worked. It was important.
I think in the off season we should, when we are struggling for content, we should look at Japan series winning teams from history past and really go over them, because that 2005 team for Lotte was pretty stacked. Great pitching, and they scored the most runs in the league back then.
And that brings us over to the third place team, a team that I've got a little more energy about now. I'm a little more chipper. The Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, 5-3 since we last spoke, and while it's a little bit meandering, the performances are getting a little bit more consistent, especially on offense with the bats. SIS Baseball on Twitter pointed this out. There's a combination metric called total runs that adds the hitting, fielding, running, defense, and position played, sort of averaging out how productive someone's been. And the leader in all of MPB, not just the Pacific League, is Hawks outfielder Kensuke Kondo. Yanagita sits 7th, and the only other 2 PL players in the top 10 are Shuta Tonosaki at 6th and Shusei Manami at 10th. Yanagita by the way, is only 0.00 points off of the batting average lead in Tongu. So that batting average race is really coming down to the wire, while Kondo still sits at 300. They are basically kind of the only two people performing very consistently, though some of the other bats are getting back into it. And speaking of, also, little shout out to Speedster Ukyo Shuto, who typically struggles at the plate this season, but hit a grand slam against the Eagles last week, which is the most surprising thing I've seen maybe all season, if not definitely last week. Now, I always just like to keep it as positive as I like to be, though I do like to keep it realistic. The pitching has been rough lately. There's been 5 games this past week since we last spoken where the Hawks used more than 5 pitchers. And there was one game I think they used like 7. It's getting crazy. Now, on the one hand, it's good to see they've got arms available. They've got guys who can get out there and get a couple outs. But on the other, we need someone other than Arihara and Wada to step up and have a decent game starting. Carter Stewart Jr. has been struggling a lot lately. And unless we get that, it's going to be tricky to survive this last stretch of the season, but they're going to try. And that brings us over to the 4th place team, the team that was closing in on the Hawks, but now the Hawks, it's actually now these two teams are closing on the Marines, if I'm going to be honest. The Rakuten Golden Eagles. Take it away, Mike.
Rakuten lost this morning to Oryx 0-2. They are 5-5 in their last 10, and it's been really interesting just watching them over these past couple months just get so close to getting that 3rd place spot and then just completely fumbling it, for lack of a better term. It's like they get right there and then they go on like a 3-game losing streak against Cebu or something like that. It's like they're right there. As much as I joke around with haha, SoftBank's going to lose, I'm not really, praying for their downfall or anything like that. I just want to go with the most interesting result, which would be Rakuten sneaking in to the playoffs after all that stuff we talked about earlier in the season.
Yeah, where they were at the beginning of the season, for them to even be this close is kind of a miracle. But if they make it, that's sensational.
Even if they were like a half of a game out at the end of the season, yeah, it would suck for Rakuten fans. But the fact they were able to claw their way back up there when pretty much everything was going wrong for at least half the season, that would just be a great way to end the season after, just struggling like that. But really not much to talk about other than the fact they're 3 games back right now. Where's it 3.5? I think it's 3 games back. And hopefully they can get in, but I think at this point, I'm going to go back on my previous predictions saying that they were going to get in. I think they're probably going to not get in by at least a game or 2.
I think you're always saying that because you want the Marines in. And that brings us over to the 4th place team, a team that's actually been playing shockingly well lately, the Saitama Seibu Lions. 5-2 since we last spoke, including a much needed, I say in big air quotes, sweep of the Fighters. It's kind of irrelevant, but good to see that they were able to really beat up on the only team underneath them in the standings. One of those games, they picked up 20 hits and a 10-0 clobbering of the Fighters on the road on September 10th. It's the first time they've gotten that many hits since September 2017. The Lions defense is really good. Deltagraph spotted this on September 10th. They lead the entire MPB in ultimate zone rating with 15.2, and the worst, a certain someone's Chiba Lode Marines at minus 27.1. Takeo Nakamura becomes the first batter ever over the age of 40 to hit a home run off a pitcher over the age of 40 in Pacific League history. This was on September 6th against Motoki Higa of the Buffaloes. Kai Matara moves into 2nd place on the ERA leaderboard, inserting himself right between Yamamoto and Miyagi with a 2.13 ERA, and Kona Takahashi just misses the podium with a 2.31 ERA. So again, as usual, the starting pitching for the Lions has been really, really decent for most of the season. As mentioned before, in the Hawks segment, Shuta Tonosaki is rated 6th in total runs and continues to be the most consistent offensive threat for the club. He's been having a great season and looks to close it out. And finally, with the loss against the Hawks earlier this week, the Lions have officially been mathematically eliminated from winning the pennant. I don't know about you guys. I thought they might have pulled it off. I thought kind of in my heart of hearts, I was like, maybe, just maybe, they can go on a 30-game win streak and win the pennant. Maybe Oryx will just totally collapse and the Lions will just roar to the pennant. But alas, it was not meant to be. And look, all things considered, as much as I've been, joking about and lamenting how hard it's been to watch the Lions this season, I've just been feeling a lot better about them lately. Nakamura, I don't know how much longer he's going to be around, and they might need to replace him. But other than that, they've got great young starting pitching. The bats are developing. I don't know what it's been about this season. There's been like kind of a dark cloud over things. There's been like a bad vibe, but like I don't know. Maybe next season they're going to do a lot better. Yeah, we'll see. They're kind of
Trust me, I'm a Blue Jays fan. We know all about the vibes are off as a baseball team.
Exactly. So like I don't know. I just have faith that maybe next season's going to be a lot more fun. This season's pretty much done, though. I mean, you never know. Maybe they'll back their way into the playoffs, but yeah, it's probably over. But still, it's been a fun ride. And that brings us over to the final team in the basement of the standings of the Pacific League, the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. Take it away, Gabe.
3-7 in their last 10, including a 6-game losing streak at home, and now back in the basement by 3 games. Jusei Mandami for team MVP at least.
Well, yeah.
This makes it 5 consecutive seasons with a record below 500. That's suboptimal. I haven't really been able to pick out any highlights in terms of plays on the field, but there's a really fun highlight on our YouTube channel in which one of the broadcasters snares a foul ball out of midair because it was hitting his direction. Go take a look at that for someone very happy to have saved some expensive recording equipment. I also spotted this on the Newswire. Nikkan Sports had an interview or a brief chat with Fighters general manager Atsunori Inaba, who said that the club is very interested in getting some young pitchers from Taiwan after having just completed his tour there. There's speculation over who they might be, not my place to say, but it's good to know that teams continue to look to Taiwan for talent. As that World Baseball Classic showed, they've got a strong development system with players in their own native league as well as MLB. Now, we know that the Pacific League can occasionally have a language barrier, which is why I've put together the How to Speak Pacific League audio series. The latest edition is coming up next.
How to Speak Pacific League. Lesson 8. The Chants. Now that cheering and singing are permitted in Japanese ballparks again, it's time to brush up on how to join in. Most cheers have a structure of 4 beats, 4 beats, 3 beats syncopated. The 4 beat phrases are primarily katobase. Tobase means to fly, and katobase means to send the baseball flying. So the chants will go katobase player's name here. If the player's name is 2 syllables, the first will be elongated. If they have a 4-syllable name, the third and fourth are usually combined into 1 beat. Katobase may be replaced by homuran, moero for burn it up, or ganbare for do your best. Now you too can clap and cheer along when you visit a Pacific League ballpark this season.
And so that brings us around near the end of the show, and with one of our final segments, how are familiar faces doing in new places? Gabe, how are the boys doing stateside?
Kodai Senga put together another strong outing today. His ERA on the season stands at 2.95. If you had told me at the start of the season that Kodai Senga would be the best pitcher in the Mets rotation, I would have accepted it, but I still would have thought it was a little weird. But no, 11 wins, sub-2 ERA, over 190 strikeouts. Guy's good. Guy's real good. And the other thing, this is a bit of a stretch, but I spotted it on Twitter and I just have to include it. For tomorrow's game at Oriole Park in Camden Yards, Adam Jones will be hanging up his cleats and retiring as a Baltimore Oriole. But of course, we in the Pacific League know him best as an Oryx Buffalo for 2 seasons, including the Mr. Thanksgiving home run in the Japan series to send it to a 6th game against the Yakult Swallows in 2021.
And finally, that brings us over to our question of the day from us to you. And I really want people to participate in this one. It's, we've got less than a month left in the regular season. Cards on the table. Make your prediction. Not only who makes the playoffs, but what do you think is going to happen in those playoff series? Mike, let's start with you. So again, who do you think the final 3 are going to be in order? How do you think those are going to go into the final?
The final 3 in order. Well, obviously, first place will be the Marines. And then second place will be Oryx. And then third place will be Rakuten. All serious. I think it'll stay as it is. And then I think it'll be Oryx, Lotte, SoftBank, and I think either SoftBank pulls some SoftBank magic and goes back to the Japan series because of course they do, or Oryx goes to the Japan series and repeats.
Fair enough. That makes sense. And so, Gabe, I feel like I can probably guess where you're going, but let's just hear it anyway.
right.
What do you think's going to happen?
All right, here's my prediction. The Lotte Marines will hang on barely to defeat the Tohoku Rakuten Golden Eagles in the first stage, then get solidly trounced in 4 games by the pennant-winning Oryx Buffaloes, who will have a Japan series for the ages and lose to the Hanshin Tigers in 7.
Wow. Bold prediction. You know what though? But I couldn't help but notice in your bold prediction, you thought a certain Fukuoka team isn't going to make the playoffs.
You are very astute there, Jimbo.
I disagree. I disagree so much. In fact, I'm just going to put this out here. Here's what's going to happen. It is going to finish the way we're looking at it right now. It's going to be Oryx 1, Chiba 2, Fukuoka 3. And then I think Fukuoka is going to beat the Marines. And then I think they might pull it off against the Buffaloes. And then I think they might pull it off against the Tigers.
And then they decide to have a World Series with all the championship teams from every league around the world, and they beat them all.
There we go.
And then the credits roll.
The greatest
and
team
then
in
I wake
baseball
up.
history.
And everyone clapped.
Well, there is still part of me that kind of thinks I'm not even really joking, because I feel like the Hawks they're kind of picking up steam again, and I feel like I've seen them play a lot of good games against the Buffaloes this year. I feel like if there's any team that can beat them, it's the Hawks. So
okay, you made me look this up. As of today, September 14th games, the Hawks are the only team with a winning record against the Buffaloes, but it's only 11-10-1.
Still, that's winning. But
it's also worth noting that the Hawks have a losing record against the Eagles at 12-8, and a losing record against the Marines of 12-9.
Okay, interesting. And if the Marines are in second, they'll have home field advantage too. And the Marines,
that is correct.
The only place the Marines can win games, apparently. But you know what? But no, I'll think really though. I mean, again, that's actually what I think will happen. What I really earnestly want to happen. I really want to see a Buffaloes Tigers final, and I want the Buffaloes to win, because if the Tigers are going to win, I want it to be a season I was following them. You know what I mean? I want it to be a season I was kind of along for the ride, not just constantly viewing it in the periphery as we were doing our Pacific League stuff. So come on, Buffaloes, just win it again against the Tigers. Let the Tigers come back next year. That's what I think is going to happen, personally.
You don't know the Tigers if you think they're just going to be back next year.
That's fair. Yeah.
This is the third 18+ year gap between pennants in Tigers history. Like I was chatting with another fellow online about the most recent Dorktown documentary done by John Boyce and Alex Rubinstein. And we were chatting about which NPB team would be best suited for a similar documentary. It's either the Kintetsu Buffaloes or the Tigers.
For sure. But anyway, so that brings us to the end of today's show. It was a great show as usual. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Give us some questions. We'd love to hear from you. And again, tell us your playoff predictions, and we'll see you next time out on the airwaves. Take care.